In this video, I'll show you how to graph parametric equations in polar coordinates. The question reads, plot the parametric equations x is equal to 3 cosine theta and y is equal to 2 sine 2 theta for values of theta from 0 to 2 pi. To do this question, you want to set up a table as shown. And what I'll do is evaluate outputs of x using this equation and evaluate outputs of y using this equation. Once I have found my x and y for each of these angles, I will then plot it on a rectangular plane shown here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a few of these and then I'll fill in the table. Let's start with cosine when the angle is 0 times 3. So 3 cosine at an angle of 0. And make sure that your calculator is in radians as shown here. I end up with 3. And that makes sense because when cosine is at 0 normally, it starts at 1. So multiplying it by an amplitude of 3 gives you 3. Similarly, if I do 2 times sine 2 times 0, I end up with 0. I'm going to show you another one. Let's say we want to do pi over 4. 3 times cosine of pi over 4 gives me approximately 2.12. And similarly, using this function, 2 times sine 2 times pi over 4 gives me 2. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this table with the appropriate outputs. If you have done it correctly, you should end up with a table that looks like this. Now that I have this set, I have every point I need to plot this parametric equation. My first point will be at 3 and 0. So 3 and 0 is here. My next point is at 2.12 and 2. 2.12 is roughly right here, and up to means that the point is there. My next point will be at 0 and 0. Following that, we have negative 2.12 and negative 2. So move to the left of negative 2.12, which is approximately there, and negative 2 is down here. Negative 3 and 0 is over here. Negative 2.12 and positive 2, that will be approximately here. 0 and 0 is the same place. 2.12 and negative 2 is down here. And finally, we have 3 and 0, which has already been plotted. To connect these points, I'll start with where I began, which was 3 and 0. And then I'll make my way up to the second point, then the third and the fourth, and so on. So with a curvy line, I'm going to connect this point with that one. This goes down. Then my next point was negative 2.12 and negative 2. Over to this. Then to this. Then back to 0 and 0. To this point, and finally back to 3 and 0. And there you have it. That is how to graph parametric equations in polar coordinates.